Hello and welcome to Raising Those Spirits. I'm Steve.
I'm Sam.
And I'm Sam.
Oh, what? How? It's impossible.
As we established last week, I'm also Sam.
Oh my goodness. We are pretty much the same person. There's
Yeah,
hardly any difference between the two of us, so it doesn't really. I mean, how would anybody know?
back when we worked at Time Warner, they basically said that we were just one person with two voices.
It's true. that was a,
They
that was a fun job that we had.
It was a great job. I occasionally, when I'm editing this, think about that because there was this guy, Matt, that worked there. And Matt definitely made a comment one time, and he was like, "Can you imagine like these two guys having a show and having to watch it?" And I just want to send him a link one day.
Yeah, it's like, are you guys listening to our show? Because we do that now.
We do that. You gave us this idea. This is your fault, Matt.
All right. Well, sorry, Matt. Or thank you, Matt.
Uh,
Matt should apologize to everybody else who has to listen to this.
I will say, Matt did a really good impersonation of us. It was really funny.
Oh
I
man.
was just like, I'm not even mad. That's accurate.
Oh, we're characters.
We
I'm
are.
I'm practically a cartoon. I'm not even really a real person.
I mean, if you ask my son, I'm basically just a giant cartoon character.
Oh, children.
Yeah. So what brings us here today, Sam? It's
What
it's
brings us
summer.
here? It's summer. We're gonna talk about some summer fun. We have one of our favorite topics. I feel like we end up talking about Are You Afraid of the Dark? Not all the time.
I think
This
once
is
a
this,
year.
yeah. This is at least our second or third episode we're doing.
This is our
Are
third episode because we did
Third Are You
OG,
Afraid of the
we
Dark?
did the first season of the remake, and tonight we're jumping into the newest season of the remake because it focuses on summer break.
Yeah, it's summertime. We're having lots of fun. We're going on trips. We're doing things. We're apparently getting haunted by ghosts.
In
Or
my
well,
your in my opinion, I think summer is the second spookiest season.
absolutely.
Are you haunted by a ghost, by the way? I want to put a pin in that.
I might be. I might. You know what? My body is host to a ghost.
Oh, that makes sense.
Right? Get it? Get it?
No, I don't get
Oh
it.
man! Before we take a trip down to Ghost Island, was that the name of the episode? It was Ghost Island.
No,
I think
Ghost
it's the name
Island
of
is
the.
the name of the series
Oh, okay.
because
So
it's
it's Are You Afraid of the Dark reboot series season
season
3
3
Ghost Island.
Ghost Island because each season of the new show has its own story and its own arc. They don't do individual episodes anymore. They do arcs.
Hmm. Interesting. I mean, it's an interesting format. Oh, we're gonna get into that when we get to it. We have a couple of segments we have to get through first. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so the episode name is The Tale of Room 13.
Yeah. So if you haven't watched that yet, it's on YouTube. Go pause this episode. Go watch The Tale of Room 13, season 3 of the Are You Afraid of the Dark reboot. It is currently available on YouTube. You should go watch it
It was
and then hear
so
us talk about it.
so hard for me to find.
Yeah,
Be-
shockingly hard.
well, because on YouTube it's not called The Tale of Room 13. Even though it's the official like Nickelodeon channel, it's called something else. And it's called like Spring Break from Hell or something. And so I was like, is this episode 2? What is this? And I was high. And I spent a good 15 minutes
Oh,
trying
Steve.
to find this episode. Well, the name wasn't right.
You know, I will agree with you that it was not named correctly. I don't think I think I figured it out in about 5 minutes. I was sober at the time. Uh, but yeah, it's surprisingly hard to find. I feel like everything's on streaming now and is available so easily. But this season 3 of Are You Afraid of the Dark, I had to do some searching. But yeah, it's on YouTube. If you go to YouTube, you could find it.
It's
It's not even like somebody uploaded a bootleg of it. It's on the official Nickelodeon
yeah,
webpage.
it's on the Nick Rewind page. It's called Siren Emoji Full Episode Summer Vacay Gone Wrong. Are You Afraid of the Dark episode 1?
Why would you name it like that?
I don't
Nickelodeon?
know. I was like, the only I almost quit, but I had remembered you had sent me the link in the Discord chat, and I was like, I know it's there because he sent me the link, but I could not find it. And now that I'm looking at the Discord, if I had just looked, it is exactly that episode. But, I was not sober. So I thought about it while I was doing it, but I was like, my phone is like a foot away.
What's funny
So,
is, I mean, this is from almost a year ago. I couldn't find it on any of the usual streaming services. Usually with Nickelodeon, I expect it to be on Paramount Plus,
yeah, they have one and
but it
two.
wasn't
They
there.
they have the original series. They don't have season three, and season four is coming out soon. So I don't know what the deal is. It's been 9 months.
So, someone at Nickelodeon, give us a call. Let us know what's happening, because we're confused.
Hold on, let me tell you Sam's number so you can call it.
Please don't. Oh no, I'm gonna get swatted. Oh man. Oh, okay. Well, that's good. It's good that we've already gone off the rails. Oh,
Yeah,
it's
no,
great
I
for us.
love it. I mean, the people like it.
Hey. Oh yeah, everybody loves us rambling on. Um. All right. Well, before we get into that, one of our segment this season we're doing is we're taking an AI aided journey around the country, finding out about different cryptids. Um, State by state. We're taking the descriptions of those cryptids, we're plugging them into the Mid Journey AI, and seeing what they come up with. And if you follow us on Instagram or Facebook, you can see these pictures. Um, they could be pretty wild. We're having a lot of fun learning about how these AI image generating systems work. Um, yeah, it's been a journey across these United States.
It's been a mid journey.
Oh my goodness, I didn't even think I was making that pun. Huh.
I'm here to pick up the
uh,
slack.
so Steve, let me tell you about where I visited in my imagination for this episode. I went to Connecticut. Our first trip to our home region of New England, which is nice. And I learned about a strange creature called the Galwacus. Galwacus of Glastonbury, Connecticut. It was originally seen in 1939. So this is another 20th century cryptid. And it was described as being kind of like a bear, kind of like a cat, kind of like a dog. So somewhere in between those different animals, and was attributed to the eating of several farm animals, people's cats. It threatened the folks of Glastonbury, Connecticut. I think originally seen in 1939. There were some um, sightings of it up through the 1950s. Now, from what I've read, it sounds like it was probably a fisher cat, which is kind of like a big North American weasel sort of thing. It's like kind of like a really angry otter, is what I always think of as fisher cat as being.
Yeah.
Uh, so the descriptions of it sounded kind of like a big angry otter. Its name comes from, and this seems incredibly silly, the Galwacus. It was a portmanteau of Glastonbury, so that's where the Gaul, and then the walk comes from the word wacky, and they added us on the end to make it sound Latin, at least according to the Wikipedia article about this animal. So the Galwacus of Glastonbury, Connecticut, is a small, vicious animal that attacks cats and livestock.
I mean, it sounds like a Fisher cat. Have you ever heard a Fisher cat scream?
I don't know that I have ever heard one scream. I've
Oh,
heard what it sounds like. It sounds like it's pretty horrific sounding.
yeah, they're like blood curdling. We had two fighting out front of our house one night.
Oh
We weren't here, but we were talking to our neighbor, and she was like, I legitimately thought someone had murdered a child in front of our
yeah.
house. It is like this blood curdling scream from both of them. It's not a pleasant sound.
No, I've told you that my father-in-law is a taxidermist.
You have. I always forget, and I'm always fascinated, and I love being reminded, though.
Yeah, in his basement, which I called the Silent Zoo. There is one of the animals he's got on display is a fisher cat that I think they caught in their backyard, and then it's a big, ugly, ugly looking thing. They are not friendly, so
They
I'm not surprised that it inspired
a
a
cryptid.
vicious cryptid in Connecticut.
Yeah, I they look like so many things combined.
Yeah,
They're like a badger and a cat and a bear. It's you know what it is? It's like they took a dachshund and or like you know how if you breed a corgi with anything, it just looks like that dog but in the shape of a corgi.
yes,
It looks like they bred a bear, like a black bear with a corgi,
yeah. It's like a tiny bear.
but long.
So it's one of those things where I'm like, well, why in 1930? I mean, like reading the description, it's like this is clearly describing a fisher cat. Why is it that 1939 Connecticut, somebody saw that and like, I have no idea what that is. It's an inhuman monster.
Maybe it was like a massive one. Maybe it was like, because
Yeah, that has to be it. Like it had to have been just like a massive fisher cat. Maybe it was like a small bear cub. Again, like if you're not familiar with what a bear cub looks like, and you see a bear cub, you might think that it's somewhere between a cat and a dog.
yeah. I mean, people have literally adopted bears thinking they had found a litter of puppies.
Yeah, straight does. It's like, no, that's a bear. Don't have a bear.
Yeah,
That's a bad idea.
I found this abandoned dog in the woods. The vet's just like, that's a bear. You should put it back.
Put it back in the woods before its mom sees.
Oh my god.
So I went on a journey with a journey, like I was saying. The first thing I tried was I just put in the Gawakis of Connecticut, and it gave me back a bunch of chickens around the
Yeah,
house.
I saw
It
that.
looks kind of like a storybook image. That's going to be image number one in your feed.
Yeah, I saw that
Uh,
pop up, I guess, like Sunday. And, like, spoiler alert, we record on Tuesday nights. And I was just like, what is he looking up? Like, I
yeah,
just saw houses and chickens everywhere.
like a weird storybook chicken. Just neat. It's not really, not at all what was described. The next thing I tried was part bear, part cat, part dog, which came out as a bear wearing like it looks like an old hippie, but it's also a bear.
Yeah,
Kind
it's
of wearing
clearly got gloves on. It's, those, like, child plate armor plastic things that they wear as chest pieces?
yeah.
It's like that, but made out of a bed sheet and a bear with gloves. I love it. I'm very torn. I kind of want this to be our cryptid, uh, but
He's he I want him to be my friend because he looks like he's got a story to tell.
there.
Um,
Did
he's a
you
very fairy booky type character.
did you ever see Digging Up the Marrow?
No, I have not. I don't know
Oh,
what that is.
Digging Up the Marrow was a great concept. That was a terrible movie. It's got Ray Wise in it,
Oh, okay.
and it is made by Adam Green, the director who made the Hatchet movies and Frozen, not the kid one, the one with people trapped on the ski lift,
Oh,
and
right. Forgot
uh,
about that movie.
yeah, he's a pretty big horror director, and so he did one. It was very meta. It was him and his crew as him and his crew, and Ray Wise finds them. He's not Ray Wise. He's the only person who's not himself. Um, and he basically has discovered like this underworld of cryptids that lives under the surface in a place that he calls the Marrow. And they start doing like a document. It's like a found footage documentary type of a thing on them investigating the marrow. And this bear looks so much like something that would have been in the marrow, because like a lot of them like look like people in costumes or something, just like at a passing glance, but then like you see them, and like the monsters are really cool. They're really cool looking, the art's great, and like a lot of the time it's like they pass as human but they're not. It was just a bad movie but a good concept. But anyway, this bear looks exactly like something that would have been in that movie.
Yeah, the bear is he's a friendly looking fella. My next one up, I put Chupacabra of Connecticut as the prompt. I also put I wanted it to be security cam footage, and you want to right now. AI still has some kinks that it's working out because I ended up with a little lizard person sitting on top of a camera, kind of like a
Yeah,
little goblin thing. He's kind of
that
cute.
that was a weird one. I wasn't quite sure what to do with that one. It looks
Yeah.
cool. It looks very uncanny.
Hmm. Yeah. Oh, then after that, I tried a couple of different things. So I tried Mutant Fisher. Most of what it gave me was fish, but then it also gave me this like kind of bear-looking creature that's in front of this broken down schoolhouse. That I thought was pretty neat. And then I tried just furry beast, and I ended up with these last two that are in your feed, which one of them looks like a mutated baboon, and the other one looks like a tumbleweed come to life trying to attack you.
I feel like the mutated baboon is the most accurate to the brief. I
Yes.
I also thought it was like a half dog, half baboon, but I could see that being a like half part dog, part cat, part bear type of a thing. Like if you described it like that and then showed me that picture, I'd be like, yeah, I see that.
Yeah, so I think that is the closest I came
What I re-
to what is described.
what I really like about this picture and then like the tumbleweed thing are both in front of like very similar looking like abandoned farmhouses with the sun setting at the same like spot behind them.
Hmm.
And I'm just like these cryptids are in the same field. They're just on different sides of the house.
Yeah, they're
They just
friends.
they
They're
are
neighbors.
these cryptids just live around this house. Now I want this house to be the cryptid that just all of these other cryptids like make their homes around this spooky house. So yeah, my vote for for this is our chimpanzee boy. Who did
All
you
right, image. Yeah, I think image number five. I think that is the. I think the image number five is the winner for sure.
five is the green farmhouse for you? Because that's four for me.
Oh, I was counting the chickens.
Oh, okay. Counting the chickens is image number five. Yes. So
So
what?
yeah,
What?
mutant baboon.
I like it. It's cool. It's very far from a Fisher cat.
Hmm. But it sounds like the monster, or it sounds like kind of what it was described.
Yeah, it meets the
Um,
brief.
what would I call it?
Well, I mean, you don't need to call this anything. This is the cryptid. Now we need to choose one of the others, right?
Oh, okay, okay, yeah. Um, I like hippie bear. I like
I,
hippie bear a lot. I like the tumbleweed monster.
those are my two favorites.
I think we went with a funny one last week with the comedian whale. So I say let's make up a story for this tumbleweed monster.
All right. I was wondering if that was too close to our other tumbleweed monster,
Oh,
but
that's right. We did have one of those.
I do he's different enough. I feel like we can there can be multiple tumbleweed monsters. Tumbleweeds are overlooked in my mind. Okay, so he is not a desert tumbleweed though. He lives in
No.
like old lawns that haven't been watered with just like the tall dead grass. There's like one in every neighborhood.
Hmm. Oh yeah, it would definitely be in front of this dilapidated farmhouse.
Yeah, and I don't think it has to be a farmhouse. Anywhere even slightly rural that has like that creepy old neglected house with the neglected yard, this thing could hide right in there. And all the neighborhood kids, they're afraid of like the house. They think the house is haunted, but it's actually the overgrowth in the yard that you need to push through to get to the house.
Yeah. So anybody who tries to get through the overgrown bushes and grass and everything to get to the house is gonna have to face this beast. What are we gonna name him? Rootler. The Rootler.
He, A, that sounds like he should be like a playoff on the Riddler. And B,
That's true.
it sounds like a Pokemon.
All right. Okay. Rootler's out.
I'm not like saying we can't do it, but you say Rootler and I immediately see this thing being thrown out to battle a Pikachu.
He does look a little Pokemon-y.
He looks a little Pokemon-y, which I think helps him catch those children that dare each other to go into this creepy house and knock on the door or whatever.
How about a Grassig?
Are you just trying to create Pokemon?
How can I mean like it's just so Pokemon like to begin with. Anything you're gonna call is gonna sound like a Pokemon.
Hmm. I'm trying to think. It's thorny, but and kind of it looks like a withered, dried plant. So Withervine.
Ooh, Withervine. I like that.
I like the Withervine. What does it do?
Gnaws your ankles off.
I don't see a mouth.
Oh no, you're right.
It has clawed hands though, unless it's like a porcupine and it just kind of like drinks you through the quills.
Ooh.
Ooh, maybe it's like that cuz like you go through these overgrown yards and like all the brambles and stuff like cut you and you don't even
Oh
really
yeah.
notice.
So you move past it and it kind of like scratches up your legs or any exposed skin and you don't even realize it that it's been
Drinking
feeding
you.
off. Yeah, it's been drinking your blood.
Love it. We've got this little vampiric bush.
Oh man. All right, Withervine.
I love this. I feel like we could do a whole podcast just on this.
Say that every week.
And I agree.
All right, Withervine. That's the winner. Again, follow us on Instagram and Facebook at RTSpiritsPod to see these images created by the Midjourney AI. Steve, I'll tell you what I'm drinking.
Yeah, please do.
All right, so this has been sitting in my fridge for a long time, and I figure now that we're getting into Memorial Day and summer, I'm going to drink it. It is a Smirnoff Ice, red, white, and berry. I got it as a gag gift around Christmas,
Did you get
and
iced?
I think someone was attempting to ice me, and I didn't or I didn't take the bait, but I did leave it in my fridge.
Hmm.
It is dusty. It is at least a year old,
Sam,
and
nothing in your fridge should ever be dusty.
I think
I've
it was dusty when it arrived.
Oh, okay, because I'm like I've dusted a lot in my life and I've never had to dust my fridge.
Yeah. So I've never had a Smirnoff Ice, flavored Smirnoff Ice, at least as far as I can remember. So this is going to be a first for me right now.
Not since college for me.
Oh, that's terrible.
I mean, is it terrible because it's really old and skunked? Or is it
No, I
terrible?
think it's just it tastes like artificial blue raspberry flavor. It's just like it's all like the flavors of a bomb pop.
Mm-hmm.
Not, but now it's just like, oh, I'd rather just be drinking. Like I'd rather just be having a bomb pop.
I haven't had Smirnoff Ice in almost 20 years because back when I was a truck driver and I delivered beer for a living, um, I delivered Smirnoff.
Hmm.
And in the warehouse, like, cases break, like, bottles break and they just like sit there in the summer heat leaking out, and I just can't do the smell of Smirnoff anymore.
No, that's fair. I'm gonna drink this because I've already opened it. I don't. Yeah, it's not as bad as some of the bad drinks I've had for this segment.
Some of the Sam
Um,
creations.
some of like my real misfires. It's better than those. But yeah, I think last time I had some bullet bourbon, I think I'd rather be drinking that.
I mean, fair.
Oh.
All right, I, in honor of the summer, so the whole premise, the very very outlying premise of the Are You Afraid of the Dark episode is it's summer break and they're going to like a tropical island.
Mm-hmm.
So I have family who lives down south, and when I go down there, when in the summer heat, there is a place we go. It's kind of like resorty, and they do have a drink that I'd like to drink by the pool. It is a dirty banana. It is a frozen cocktail,
It'd
and
have to be.
it is, I feel very on theme, but it is delicious. It is rum, banana, coffee, and chocolate. And you take it, and then you turn it into a milkshake.
I mean, that sounds great.
It is. It is so good. So it is Gosling dark rum, Kahlua, cream, chocolate syrup, a fresh banana, and if you want to go crazy, you can put in some coffee liqueur, but I feel like the Kahlua kind of handles that. And yeah, it is. You just throw it all in the blender, get it nice and cold, and it's fantastic. You also can add a scoop of vanilla ice cream to thicken it up like a milkshake, which I highly, highly recommend.
Yeah, that sounds way better than what I'm drinking.
Yeah, no, it's so good. It is, it's just killer. And if you want to get fancy, you can top it with whipped cream and maraschino cherry. You put the chocolate syrup around the inner rim of the glass. It is, just a half cup of heavy cream, 2 ounces of Kahlua, banana, an ounce of dark rum, an ounce of Jamaican rum. You're set.
Hmm.
So that
All
is
right.
my drink for tonight.
Love it.
And it turns out that it's pretty off-brand because this episode of Are You Afraid of the Dark, we chose it because we were like, summer's here, summer break, tropical island. The island is where the resort and the hotel is, but it could literally be any hotel. The location rarely matters outside of the fact that they're in a hotel. It's basically just The Shining, but on an island.
Sure. I'm kind of like The Shining meets I Still Know What You Did Last Summer.
Kind of. It's just like, but I feel like that's giving the tropical island too much. Like they have a beach fire on the island in one scene, and like that's the extent of the use of the location outside of the hotel.
Yeah, I feel like the was more for atmosphere. It's there for atmosphere. We know that they're at a hotel. I feel like it made it make sense because they were airing it in the summer.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, like I want to give it a little more time to see if in later episodes
that comes into play
they do a little bit more with it. I mean, but I get the sense that they're going to spend a lot of time in the hotel,
in a
which
generic
makes
looking hotel.
yeah. Well, I mean, like from a production standpoint, that makes a lot of sense
Oh,
because it's a lot easier to shoot inside than it is on a beach.
I
Um,
understand why they did it. I'm just like, we chose this because of the location.
but they're still they're still making it work.
Yeah,
I feel like every time you see the outside during the day, like from the hotel, it's clearly green screen. I don't think they actually went to. I
oh,
can't imagine they actually like went to an island or anything to film. I'm sure it was just in LA or something like that.
yeah, they just went to a beach in LA and had a fire and filmed towards the ocean. Like, but
Or
whatever. It still ended
it
up being good. So
works.
we only watched the first episode. There's 4 episodes of this arc. Did you?
I
You watched more than the first episode, didn't you?
no, I wanted to, but I couldn't find them. Like I was saying
Oh,
before, I
yeah.
don't
They're
understand why this is so difficult to come across on streaming. I absolutely, when it was done, was ready to sit down and watch the remaining 3 episodes. I was like, "Oh, I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was good." Um, I'm not going to say that it's a particularly original story. Um, we have a group of teenagers who have come to this haunted hotel um, to kind of reconnect after the death of our main character's sister. And it's a haunted room that kind of absorbs the people who stay in it. It seems like nobody who has ever gone into the room has escaped, which seems a bit logistically complicated. But
seems really
no,
bad for business because, like, you see people in like the 50s there, and they don't shut this thing down till
until
late, till like the 70s or 80s.
yeah, I think sometime after 1997, because they make a point to say that Scream was in the theaters, so that was
Well,
like 96, 97.
no, because in the opening it's the 80s, and they don't
Yes.
rent that room out anymore. They steal the key.
Oh, that's right. Okay, so at the beginning of the episode, we have a flashback to the 1980s. We have a family that is on the island. They're seemingly in some sort of dire straits. It's a woman and her 2 young kids, and they desperately want a room
There's
in
no
the
other
hotel.
hotels. There's only one hotel.
There's the only one hotel on the island, um,
There's a
and
monsoon outside, so they can't stay outside.
they're trying to get a room, but the hotel clerk, he will not rent them the room 13. He doesn't tell them why. So when he's not looking, they swipe the key and they go stay there. And of course, it's a haunted hotel, and that's the first beginning of the episode. They get kind of absorbed into the room. They disappear. We don't really know what happens to them. But I thought that whole opening sequence, I thought it was very strong for something that's aimed at such young audiences. I think they did a really good job with it. It was legitimately scary. Um, I would say, unlike a lot of things we watch, it wasn't so scary that uh, I think it would be too much for its target audience. I think it's just the right level of scary. So that was a big success for me the first couple of minutes of the show.
Yeah, I wasn't sure about this until like the last 10 minutes of the episode because the opening was good.
Hmm.
And then we had a pretty long lull with teenagers. How old are these kids? Are these middle school kids, high school kids? Their parents are basically letting them go on a trip without a chaperone
That I found perplexing.
and
Um,
stay in the same hotel room together.
yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
how old are these kids? I couldn't
I
tell if
think
they
they
were.
have to be. I think they're early high school. I think they're probably like freshmen, sophomores in high school. They're not middle schoolers.
Yeah. I
I mean, to me, they look like children. They just look like children. But they're old enough that it's like, well, you wouldn't want to put a bunch of 14-year-old hormone crazed kids together on a tropical island in a hotel room together. That doesn't seem like very it's not good parenting.
It's not
Not that we ever
great.
see any of their parents is. Um yeah, the circumstances that get them to the island. I mean, it is our lead character, whose name I don't remember. Her name is Kayla. Um, her twin sister has passed away, and it seemingly was her twin sister's dream to see everybody arrive. Everybody go to this haunted island. She knew that there were stories about the hotel being haunted. Um, so I think it was kind of like a way for them to reconnect after her death. perhaps literally, not just figuratively. I do not understand how they were able to get their parents to let this happen. I think there's an older sibling of one of the kids who is also at this hotel, but they're seemingly fairly absent. So, don't do that. As a parent, and this is a parenting podcast, I would say, bad idea. Don't do that.
So yeah, they go, and I. So one of the things I like about the new Are You Afraid of the Dark is every single group is a new Midnight Society,
Hmm.
and aside from them having been a now defunct Midnight Society, I don't know why these kids are hanging out. Like mainly the one like Jersey Shore kid, as I referred to him, the not gay guy.
Uh-huh.
Like
The straight male who is with
the
this
straight
group.
male seems to have nothing in common with them. They don't really seem to like him. He's insufferable. I'm like, why is he here?
I wouldn't want to spend a minute with that person, with that
Yeah.
character.
And it doesn't seem like any of the others would either.
Yeah, I found that relationship a bit perplexing. I think that was, I mean, unless it's something that we're gonna get more of an idea of as the episodes go on. So maybe it's something where like he didn't used to be an annoying prick, um, and maybe now he's just acting out for some reason. But he seemed like the I don't want to say make it sound like the actor is bad because that's not true. I think the actor is doing fine,
It's just the
but the
character's
character
bad.
the character is bad. The character is somebody who you wouldn't want to have a conversation with on the internet because they would say something very inappropriate.
Yes, he was really problematic, even for something made in 2022.
Yeah. So I have to believe that at some point that character is going to make more sense in context.
I hope.
As he is, I don't know the character's name. Straight, I just knew him as the straight male. Um, yeah, I was like, I don't want to spend any time with you as a character. If one of you gets absorbed into the room, I hope it's you first.
So yeah, let's kind of walk him through the plot of this episode. And we'll get to that because I'm also like, why in the world are you kids? I know they're teenagers, but like, it's one of those things where I'm like, oh, the plot is being driven by bad decisions. Got it.
I mean, teenagers can't really help that.
Yeah,
Their
I
brains are.
know. So they get to this hotel. They check in. Uh, Immediately. Also, they vague post about the dead twin for a good 25 minutes.
Yeah, I think they're saving that for a later episode. We'll get more of the
Well,
story.
just even what the deal with her is. She doesn't like talk about it for like 25 minutes.
Yeah, they kind of. I think that's something you see with a lot of young adult media. It has to be really phoned in, but they also need to keep something in the mystery box to find out about later.
Yeah.
It's pretty blatant. It's pretty blatant with that particular part of the plot. Like you tell, it's like, oh, we're holding on to what really happened to the twin, the truth around her death. We're gonna hold on to that for a later episode, so it can be a big reveal. But it's so telegraphed that you know it's coming.
A lot of this is really telegraphed. There's a big twist at the end of the first episode that I called literally the second we met that plot point.
Yes, and again, I think that's something like here we are adults
Yeah.
having seen decades worth of versions of this story type of storytelling.
Yeah. I
Um,
was like, is
I
this
think
predictable
new
or have
audiences
I
are gonna
been
get it.
watching Are You Afraid of the Dark for 30 years?
I think I think for the target audience, people, teenagers who have not, or maybe preteens, who don't have decades worth of having watched teenage horrors, I think to them it's going to be good. To them, it'll still be surprising. So I think we have to remove our kind of grizzled old man glasses on that one. 'Cause, yeah, I mean the same stories kind of get retold time and time again. Like I don't think this particular version of this kind of story is breaking any new ground, but I think it's accessible to its target audience. So I'd call that a success for what it is.
Yeah. So we get to the island. They check in. Immediately, obnoxious kid is like, "This place haunted. This place is supposedly haunted. You have to tell me if it's haunted." And I'm like, I don't think he does.
I
Uh,
want to. So no one should ever talk to you in any circumstances. Obnoxious kid.
there's also like a weird plot point where he comes with some girl. Is she his nanny? He's like in love with some girl that ends up meeting her boyfriend there and then disappearing after that one scene, and he's super hung up about it.
I think that was the older sibling of one of the other characters. I think that's how they were able to get their space on the island.
I'm
It was really, it was like, it was so uncomfortable.
Yeah,
It
it
was
was.
such uncomfortable writing that I hope that they address why he's that way at some point in this 4 episode arc. Because if they don't, I think that's bad.
Yeah, I went into like a
That's bad
fugue
writing.
state. It was so awkward and just I don't really know exactly what happened there, but
No, it's not often that I like am so characters' actions in a TV show are so awkward or cringy that I like get uncomfortable. But this was a situation where it was like I'm uncomfortable watching this character act like this. But I have it feels so intentional that I have to believe that they are going somewhere with it. So I just commenting on a year old series that I haven't watched. I hope they do something with it to make it less problematic.
weird 14-year-old Barney Stinson.
Yeah. It's like you're not. It's like your commentary and your actions are not wanted in this situation. Please stop them.
Yeah, they basically just had like a weird incel in their group for whatever reason.
Yeah. But again, I don't want to harp on I mean, like the
The
writing for
kid
that
was
character is
fine.
bad. The
Like
actor is
the
fine.
actor was fine. This is nothing against the kid. It was just like, is this leading to something?
Yeah.
What is happening? So
Um,
they get checked into their room and they immediately notice there's no room 13. There's a 12 and there's a 14. And why is that?
that's. I mean,
It's not
it's,
abnormal for like some
it's not.
office buildings don't have a 13th floor.
It might.
Like,
Maybe that's less of a thing now than it was when we were growing up. Because I remember when I was growing up. I don't know why I always paid attention to that. I think because it came up in an episode of Twilight Zone, and I paid special attention to buildings, and I felt it was very frequent that I would be in a building and there wasn't a 13th floor. I don't think that's a thing anymore. I don't think it's a thing as much as it used to be.
but it was an old resort, so it might just be like left over.
Old over, yeah.
Yeah, so they end up in room 14 and start hearing weird spooky stuff through the vents basically.
Yep, which I would just think that it's people talking in a hotel.
Yeah. But
Um,
no, these kids need to learn about this. This
I mean,
is
they came to this island because they were like, oh, this hotel is haunted. So they're expecting it to be haunted. They just happen to be correct in this instance.
yes.
That's something, I was talking to my dad about. My dad worked at a hotel that was supposedly haunted, and one of the things they always said was like you can hear the voices of the dead, blah blah blah. But my dad was like, no, that's like that's clearly just people talking. You hear it through the vent.
Yeah. Very weird.
If that was the case, there'd be no show. We had to give them a little bit of slack on that.
Yeah, so they meet a local islander bellhop kid who tells them the true story of Ghost Island and immediately is just like, yeah, no one who enters the room can leave. You want to break into it? And they're like, yeah, we do.
Oh yeah, so he confirms for them. They believe that the room 13 is hidden behind a linen closet. She confirms for them is true. It's I'm like, why did this hotel hire a child? This person's clearly a young teenager because he's hanging out with these other young teenagers. That doesn't seem like a good idea.
Yeah, like again, we've established they're like early high school. Why does this kid work there?
I mean, hey, the child labor laws are getting pretty ridiculous in this country. Although I don't know where they are. Are they in America?
Unclear. Everything is super unclear.
All right. Well, whatever island nation they're in, which is filled with white people with American accents. Apparently, you can hire children to work in your
Which
hotel.
the weird thing is, in the beginning, in the 80s, it wasn't all white people. It, like, over the next 40 years became all white people?
Yeah, it was mostly. I feel like in the '80s it was all Hispanic people. Where'd they go?
Yeah.
The
Where,
heck is this,
what happened on this
America?
island?
What ethnic cleansing occurred on this island that there are no brown people left?
Yeah, what
Because they
problematic
were there.
genocide happened here?
They were definitely there in the '80s. Everybody we meet in the first couple of minutes of this show in the 1980s,
Is dead.
I think was it. They're all well. They're all dead. Well, several of them are ghosts.
Well, this is why everyone's ghosts. The genocide.
Oh no, this is getting dark. It's getting too
Are
dark.
you afraid?
I am so afraid of the dark at the moment. To answer your question,
And yeah, they do the trope where the main girl is grieving the death of her sister, but she immediately gets over that the second she meets this cute bellhop. And they go into the room and weird stuff starts to happen.
immediately.
Immediately, and they don't leave immediately. They wait until the door gets locked. And that brings us to like the last 10-minute, 15-minute sequence of the episode where things finally start to go down. And that's really where it picked up for me because for a while, I even told my wife at one point, I was like, unless this really turns it around in like the last 10 minutes, I don't know if we're going to be watching episode two, and they did. They did turn it around. I did really enjoy whatever. They were really good at the horror aspects. There was just so much cringe in between.
Yeah, the last sequence of this where they're in the haunted hotel room and they're experiencing like the full weight of the haunt, with all the spooky stuff happening.
The moment
I
where
thought
they're
it was a
like, oh no, we went into a haunted hotel room where no one returns.
Yeah, I thought it was great. I think they did a really good job with it. Again, from a narrative standpoint, I think it's this hotel room's so haunted that it's like without a doubt proving the existence of life after death. Like I feel like people should be paying attention to this. And if you literally anybody we've seen go to spend any amount of time in this hotel room has experienced extreme paranormal activity seemingly over the course of the last 70 years or so. Yeah, that I think that's pretty noteworthy.
Yeah,
Like they're not in that room for more than 10 minutes before it's a full-on haunt.
the most unbelievable part of this episode is that the hotel didn't 100% cash in on look how haunted this room is.
Yeah. I mean, it proves the existence of the soul beyond the shadow of a doubt. Like that's pretty cool. Um yeah, again, I'll give it that it's written for a youth audience, and I think for a youth audience that's fine. It's one of those things where it's like you pick it apart a little bit with some cynicism and it starts falling apart.
It's not supposed to hold up
Um
to any degree of scrutiny. It's Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Right. I think for what it is, I think it's successful. And I have to get myself out of that like cynical old bastard approach to cinema and remind myself like, okay, for the 12-year-olds that are going to be watching this, this is going to be cool as hell. Yeah, I agree. The last couple of minutes of the episode picked it up after some drag.
Yeah, would continue. Not exactly what I was looking for, but would continue.
Yeah, agreed. If I could easily find it, I would finish. I mean, it's 4 episodes. It's not a big commitment.
Yeah, and I think
I
my kid would like it when he got a little older. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I want to know where it's going. I want to know where it's going. I want to see the rest of this because I mean, 4 episodes are all like 40 minutes each, 45 minutes each. So we're talking about 3 hours total of story. You know, that's like a movie and a half. That's not a big ask to watch.
Yeah, agreed. It's yeah, 40 minutes, 2 40-minute episodes, or 4 40-minute episodes. That's totally doable.
Yeah.
That's
So
2 movies in a row, basically. You watch a movie in over the course of 2 nights.
so a success. This was a success for me.
Yeah,
I think one of the first like real out and out like I would recommend watching it.
I
First time we've
liked
had it in a couple of weeks.
I liked season 1, episode 1 better of the new series. I thought that was really well done. I
This is
did
a little bit. This is less original than
y-
that.
yeah, this is much less original. This is much more OG. Are You Afraid of the Dark esque? But was not bad. I wasn't as ramped up to watch the next episode as I was after season 1, but definitely a good showing.
Yeah. So I hope it does become more easily available soon because I do want to check it out.
Yes, same. And I feel
Yeah,
like we've covered
I think
this.
we covered it. We didn't. You know, there's one major twist that we didn't spoil. Again,
But if you're
if
an
you're
adult or you've ever watched Are You Afraid of the Dark, you'll probably pick it up literally immediately.
yeah. But still, for target audience of young teen or preteens, I think they're gonna get a kick out of it.
Yeah,
It definitely feels more mature, even for a mature audience than Are You Afraid of the Dark was when we were kids. I feel like Are You Afraid of the Dark when we were young was aiming at probably like 9, 10 year olds,
I'd say 8 to
whereas
10 year olds.
8 to 10, whereas this feels like it's aimed more at probably 12.
Tweens.
Yeah, maybe like 11, 12 up through 14 or 15.
Yeah,
But you know, like I maintain that if something is well made, it'll be enjoyable for anybody who wants to give it a watch, regardless of whether or not you're in the target audience.
exactly. I mean, again, we're watching it.
Yeah.
We have a whole podcast about it.
Yes, but we're immature.
That is true.
Yeah, I mean, final thought. I hope I become able to watch the other 3 episodes of this. I want to see where the story goes.
My final thought is I was dreading watching this after the last few weeks of misses, and,
Hmm,
it brought me back.
totally.
So,
Eh.
check it out or don't, whatever. I'm not your dad.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still not gonna let my 5-year-old watch it,
Yeah, not
uh,
quite.
but you know, when she's 10, if she watches this, I think it'll be a worthwhile watch for her.
Yes, exactly. I'll keep this on my Plex for when my kid does get old enough to watch it.
Here you go.
And then I'll watch it with them. All right, where can they find us, Sam?
All right, they can find us on Facebook. They can find us on Instagram. We are at RTSpiritsPod. If you have a particular favorite episode of Are You Afraid of the Dark you think we should check out, let us know. If you've watched um, season 3 of the Are You Afraid of the Dark reboot and you have strong feelings about it, we'd love to hear them. We'd love to hear from you. Just tell us or anything you think we might cover. Let us know.
And if you have any recommendations on things to check out, maybe do an episode about, let us know.
Yeah, let us know. We'd love to hear.
All
So
right.
until next time,
I'm Steve,
I'm Sam.
and take care. Thanks for coming.
Adios.